Hello and welcome to the RetroMacCast with James and John, where in each episode we'll stroll down the Macintosh memory lane. We'll discuss older Macintosh computers, collecting all things related to the Mac and Apple computer, and current topics from the perspective that only a couple of old Mac fans can provide.
Couple of old Mac fans and one I would say not old Mac fan, decidedly younger than us. So inject a little youth into the podcast this week. Matthew from Australia is here joining us for the show. You might remember him because we mentioned him last week when we showed off a little bit of his museum. Good to see you, Matthew. Welcome to the podcast. Hello,
Thanks,
John.
guys. Thanks for having me.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Let's see. We'll say hello to if there's anybody out there watching online, hello to you. Comment in if you like. We could just start the show for real, I think.
Yeah.
There's nothing to banter with the audience.
Joshua. Hello. Joshua.
Hey yo to you. Oh, and Daniel. And some of these folks may have come here through you because I saw you Matthew, you mentioned that you'd be on the show today. So maybe they'll see some of your Australian neighbors.
I tried to bring some of the local crew online. Yeah, so.
All right. Long time listener, first time YouTube live watching. How exciting. All right. Let's go ahead and run this for real. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the RetroMacCast with James and John. This is episode 699 for January 26th, 2025. Good evening, John, and welcome, Matthew.
Good evening, James.
Good evening.
Good morning,
James.
Matthew. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon here. Yeah. So good evening to you both. It's 12:02 p.m. here. Thank you very much for having me on the show. Delighted to be here.
Matthew is joining us from the future, which is awesome. He has the it's called a couple of different things on the website. It says like Matthew's Apple Museum, and then it says Macintosh Museum. What is the official title?
Technically, we'll go by Matthew's Apple Computer Museum, but if you shorten that down, it becomes conveniently Mac Museum.
So I find it very amazing that you would change your name to an M name just so that would work.
That's the capital MAC. Matthew's Apple Computer Museum. The Mac.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Brilliant. Yeah.
That's it.
That's great. Okay,
I was born into this, into this role. So,
well, we talked about the museum last week because there was this great YouTube video, and extended the invitation. And guess what? He accepted and is here today. So Matthew's going to join us for the whole episode, and then a little later on, we'll get into the museum and hear about how that all came to be. I'm still, this will be, I'll call this week 2 of honoring my Retrolution.
Okay. What have we looked at?
Well, it was a heartbreaker. I had the station set up. I was just going to take a computer that was handy, throw it on there, hook it up, see what's going on. And I grabbed a Quadra 605 because it was sitting on the top of a stack of Macs. Got out an old 14-inch Apple Color monitor because it has the old Apple monitor connection. Hooked it up to ADB. And when I plugged in the monitor connection, it like pushed the logic board in. Like I couldn't seat it well. Like the whole thing kind of shifted in there. I was like, and it's like, well, maybe it's seated right. And then I put the ADB connection, and that definitely didn't get a good seating. I thought, what is going on here? So I popped it open.
Please tell me there wasn't a battery or something in there.
Okay, I won't tell you. I'll just show you.
Oh!
Now,
Maxell strikes again.
I don't think this has anything to do with why it was shifting.
Well, unless it made the plastics brittle, even more brittle.
Oh, speaking of brittle, so when I did pop the top, of course, I snapped a tab.
Of course.
It was being very, very careful when I snapped one of the tabs. And then I saw this, so I immediately unplugged everything. I was like, well, I am not applying power. So that, yes, the battery did leak in very dramatic fashion all over the board.
It hurts.
This is what I'm going to encounter. I've got hundreds of computers.
Yes, you are.
Many have not been looked at in a long time. And I think the vast majority had batteries removed when I last looked at them, or they were dead anyway, so I threw them away or whatever. I started off on a bad note, and I couldn't stop there, so I picked the computer below it, because I wanted at least something that worked.
Okay,
and
all right.
I went with my Beige G3 desktop.
Beige G3, okay.
Which was I'm the original owner of this.
Oh, fantastic!
And this was my workhorse for years. In fact, now we didn't start the podcast on this one, but it was close. And it fired up like a champ. Of course, its battery had died, but
sure,
couldn't stop anything, right? And I went in and made note of the configuration and all the peripherals, everything. This thing is loaded up. It was originally a 266 G3. I had upgraded to a 466.
Wow. Holy cow. That's a bump.
Got a 640 megs of RAM in this thing. It's a dual boot OS 9 and 10. It's got a zip 100.
Oh, you use ex post facto on there to get 10 on that? Okay, nice.
Zip drive in this thing, CD-RW. It's got a Radeon 32 meg card in addition to the onboard ATI graphics, a USB and FireWire PCI card, and what else? Anyway, it was a workhorse of a machine, and I really just did everything I could to this, and thankfully it's still running. So I'm 1 for 2. It's my record.
All right. Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with eBay finds.
Oh, that hurts about the battery.
Just more work to do at some point. Which Quadra 605. So I'm trying to see what that's over your right shoulder. That's not a Quadra. Is it something close?
Just there. That one will be a Quadra 605, which was generously donated to me only recently. And
the one on the desk there behind you?
That's a 475.
Oh,
okay.
I
just give that a little turn. You'll see there, 605. That's my little pizza box display there. So which works quite nicely.
Well, James, when it comes time to looking at that, I do have a sonic cleaner big enough to put those boards in now.
See?
So that would be your first step, is getting that puppy cleaned off.
Yeah, I think it corroded the battery little cage there. Because when I just thought let's get this battery out here, and I kind of moved it, and the whole thing,
Sure.
And I shifted. I was like,
the
whole thing's just gonna crumble off. Okay, let's go
eBay?
eBay finds. Right. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. All right, it's time now for eBay finds. Last week, there was a seller that had a whole stack of the I'd rather be driving a Macintosh bumper stickers. They're still available. Let's see, what are they? $29.99 each. So there are multiples. They say more than 10. And then we had the Quadra 900 tower.
This is one they didn't have any pictures of it actually running, right? But they said it didn't test it and working. But they didn't really give any specifics on how much RAM or any of the.
Right.
They just said, sure, it's working.
Yeah, take my word for it. And they wanted, what did I say, $599.99. Buy it now. No make an offer. It's still available. Do you have a Quadra 900? anywhere there, Matthew, in your
There's
collection?
there's a 950, which is generously here, courtesy of Retro Res, and it's a nice tidy unit like that one, which looks still looks nice platinum.
And then there was this interesting circular rug claimed to be an Apple Computer authorized dealer store rug. The auction ended, and it was ended by the seller because there was, quote, an error in the listing, which is something we often see in eBay, which is code for buyer didn't want to sell it anymore for some reason. Okay. Maybe it'll get relisted. All right. This week we'll start with another Quadra, the Quadra 700. The title says Apple Macintosh Quadra 700 works with original keyboard, mouse, and extras. And looking through let me see the description. It says, I've decided to sell my Quadra 700, which is my very first computer, and launched my digital illustration and graphic arts career. I'm the original owner and bought it for $5,247 back in 1993, which is probably like twice that in today's dollars, right? So you're talking, this is an expensive computer. This computer's claim to fame was being featured in the first Jurassic Park movie as a part of the system control network. Not this exact one, I don't think they're trying to say, but one like it. They say it's been well cared for and stored for many years now. Plastic has minimal yellow and is perfect cosmetic condition. Still boots up well. All ports function. And let's see. They replaced the battery with a MacBat CR2032 connector, ensuring no battery leakage will occur from an original style battery. Do we know about that?
I know somebody could use some of those.
Is that something you guys are familiar with?
Well, I know Ron McAdams did something similar where he's got basically a little thing that you can put one of the button batteries in and move it off to the side somewhere, so it's not in the yes. Right. So this must be something similar. Yeah.
Okay. It has a whole bunch of stuff included with it. Peripherals, adapters, cables, some pre-installed apps. And even though pictured in it, some of the pictures, there's a monitor. The monitor is not included. So
box looks in pretty good shape.
Yeah. You got all the manuals, a little video of it in action here.
Which is nice. It's very nice to that they included that.
Is that
more people need to do that
before? You must have to pay extra. Yeah, I don't think we've seen videos in these listings.
Oh, all right. So amongst the items that he's also selling with it, I see a Apple Display to VGA adapter in there, which is nice.
That is nice. So scroll through some of the other pictures. Oh, it looks great.
Is he also including the broken clips? What are we looking at here? Is that extra feet? I think that's extra feet. Give it right there. Yeah, no, right there. Yeah. Look to the right. Yep. Spare feet. The feet.
Spare feet.
Those are spare feet in case you wanted to put the computer flat versus on its. Yeah, that's it exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, neat.
Good looking keyboard and mouse, and there's even the original receipt.
Stickers. Great.
Purchased in at Computer Mart in New Hampshire. A cash sale. Oh, look at that.
He even lists all the software. He shows screenshots of the various things that are
this is a terrific listing. Like one of the best we've ever seen with the video and all that.
Monkey Solitaire. That was so much fun.
There was already one bid on this, and so I don't know what it started at. Let's see if I can find out the history.
Well, if it's one bid, it will be that.
Yeah, the starting bid, right? Yeah, $850, which, gosh, that's. I mean, that's.
Somebody wants this, I guess.
Wow. It's very nice condition. I mean, I don't think you're going to find one nicer than this. So, $850. It ships from East Hartford, Connecticut, and this auction ends in 5 days. All right. Moving on. What about this one, Matthew?
Moving on.
Quadra 700, is that one sitting in your museum?
There is one here. It's not in as good shape as this
Yeah.
one, though. That one looks really neat and tidy.
Yeah. All right, John.
So next up, we have a vintage Microsoft Mac enhancer for the Apple Macintosh computer. What this is a box that plugged into your Mac serial printer or modem port and split into 4 ports as pass-through for the Mac serial, 3 IBM and 3 IBM ports. That's all the seller knows about it. Cables, power supply, or drivers. They don't have any of that. So it is literally just the box, sold as is, unknown condition. Fortunately, so I mean, looking at this, it looks like it's got, those look like more like, it looks like you've got 1 serial in, 2 serial outs, perhaps. Is that what we're looking at here? Do you see that on the one side? On the other side, it looks like it's got your short serial connection, your round serial connection. Looks like it takes a regular power cord. Can you look at that? Doesn't that look like your standard shape for your regular?
Yeah, it does. It seems small, but I guess this thing is big.
I can't. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I really can't tell.
Doesn't that
how
seem
big
small?
this thing is?
That power cord.
No, you're right. No, that's got to be small because look at the ADB port or the serial port next to it. Yeah, you're right. That's wee tiny. Never mind.
Okay. So there's a special cable then, a special power cord.
Gotta be,
doesn't
yeah.
look like it's included. Do you remember this thing?
I've never heard of this. No, I never realized Microsoft did any sort of Mac peripherals like this.
Other than like, a mouse or something that later, but yeah, they're not known for obviously making hardware this early on, because this is certainly in the early days of the Mac. So I guess if you wanted to connect your Mac up to a parallel printer or something.
Yeah, and it just occurred to me this thing. I don't. I was trying to see if there was like a label on there somewhere to at least show the voltage, and not that you can see here, but it just says it's got a serial number, made in Japan, Microsoft Corporation.
Yeah, I mean, we can do a show on this later on. There is a Wikipedia entry on it. It's an expansion box that was developed in 1985.
So wow! So this is
serial
way
port
early.
or modem port. So maybe we could delve into this a little bit more in the future, because it's funny how we how many episodes are we up to, and we've never encountered the Mac enhancer. I mean, this is crazy. We're still finding out new things.
Well, fortunately, this one right now only has one bid, $39.99. So it's still pretty low. So hopefully, obviously, either somebody knows what this is, or they're taking a chance to
I feel like I need this
something new. Are you going to bid?
I don't know. It'd make for a better show about it if I had it in my.
Well, that is very true, and that I would not be surprised if you do not get this, that it doesn't show up on one of our other friends' YouTube channels.
Right.
Either Steve Mac84 or one of the others. Yes.
We'll just trust it comes into friendly hands here. All right. Next and last.
Holy cow.
Yeah, holy cow is right. This just jumps right off the page. This is a working red Apple Macintosh 512K computer with original keyboard, mouse, and bag. And the description says, it just says this computer was painted red, which gives it a very unique look. What did you say?
To make it go faster?
Well, that's true. You're going to get a speed ticket.
Yeah,
that's it.
We've seen custom painted Macs before. I don't know that I've ever seen one that was like this strikingly. This is like
it is glossy. I mean, it is glossy red. Holy cow!
Yeah, like candy apple. And look, it's got a video too.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, just when we were talking about how nobody has a video, and here we are. Maybe this is a new thing on eBay, but I'm not sure what the video we need the video for this one, but get a little tour of it and show it operating. Now they didn't paint the keys, so you got the brownish beige keys, and the mouse button is not painted.
It's not a great combination, I have to say, color-wise.
Yeah. And they didn't paint over the Apple logo, but everything else seems to be painted over. And judging from the video, it looks like a decent job. Like it was
does.
Like they took it apart, possibly.
Yeah, even the bottom of the keyboard, they went to the trouble of not covering up the sticker on the bottom of the keyboard.
Oh, right there,
There you go.
Or they masked it very well, and the feet too were not painted.
Yeah. So again, whoever did this really took their time and went above and beyond on detail to actually paint the bottom of the keyboard like that. I have to say that's some dedication to a color.
I guess this is one way to counter
stop the
yellowing.
Right?
Yeah, if you got a really yellow, you don't want to deal with retro white or anything. You can just
if this one yellows, you just end it with an orange one. So you got that going for you.
It does come with the original Mac carrying bag. Nice little bonus.
Pretty awesome. Okay. So
what?
Well, all right. So first of all, 512 KEs themselves don't go for that much because it's not the 128. It doesn't even have just the regular Macintosh badge on the back. It actually is Macintosh 512K. 150 tops, right? Give or take. I mean, this isn't coming with like that much extra.
Yeah, for a basic stock one, and a little fancy extra. Pay another $100 for the paint job.
Maybe. Would you pay?
Throw in another 100 for the carrying case.
Okay. All right. So where are we thinking the extra 500 they're asking on top of that is they're asking $950 for this.
Did you not read that it was one of a kind? Does that not account for that extra money? Yeah, $950 is the buy now. There is no make an offer. So we'll check in next week and see if they got the $950.
We sometimes
one of a kind as long as nobody else has a can of spray paint.
We sometimes see some things like that, and they make crazy claims in the description as well. But that's how they came from the factory. So, is there no such thing on that listing? I hope.
No.
Okay.
Doesn't say it sat on Steve Jobs' desk either. All right. Let's, how's everybody doing in the chat? Daniel is surprised we're at $6.99. It's surprising.
No Apple's Anonymous this week.
Okay, here we go. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, we figured out at the top of the episode why it's called the Mac Museum, because it's for Matthew's Apple computer. It spells Mac. And it's I guess if I read carefully right there in the first line, it has the MAC capitalized.
With the bolded letters. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe there should be something that says, "Hey, dummy, look here." That's why I've named it. But because Mac, because for years people thought, Mac was like, remember that it was an acronym and people would capitalize
they thought
all
Lisa,
the time.
like Lisa, where they made the Lisa was was an acronym.
Well, people would say like a mouse activated computer was one thing that was.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. But no, it was just short for Macintosh. But in this case, Mac is not short for Macintosh. It's the name. So, well, Matthew, let's go. How did this? Let's see. Where do we start? You probably didn't start on day one saying I'm going to make a museum. It must have started with some love of Macintosh that started somewhere. But at some point you had to go backwards, right? Because you're too young to have grown up with a lot of the stuff in the museum. So where did your computer journey begin?
Yeah, so computer journey began 90. That was Macintosh SE30, so I was 5 years old at the time. That was my first machine. So there you go.
So you did actually. You were very, very young. Got a very, very young start. But yeah, I guess I didn't consider that.
I was lucky, and very, very lucky that I was able to be introduced. At an early age. My dad had one on his desk as a sort of desktop publishing and writing tool, which was fantastic. So that was the start that I had, and across the 90s, I got to enjoy a few other machines in there: LC 475, Power Mac 8500, and from there, I think just the interest, the enjoyment, the passion grew.
Mm-hmm. Wow! And so, did you find yourself accumulating these over time? Like, did you, like, for us? I know for me, they would find their way to a family member, and then I would get it back when they upgraded. I just started gathering them. How did it start building?
Yeah, so I often get asked that question. How long have you been collecting? And I have to qualify by that, saying, which time, the most recent time? How long have I been collecting for the most recent instance, or from the get-go? So I've been collecting. I had a good start at collecting in the early noughties, where I would come home from school as a 15-year-old and start calling up the local primary schools in the area to see if they had any old Mac stuff they wanted to clear out. And as soon as I had a lead on something which might be interesting, asked Mum if we could jump in the car and head wherever we had to head to see what I could find there. So that's where it sort of started becoming a serious hobby after having a bit of a play around. And at that stage, a lot of people were just clearing stuff out. So it was very easy just to arrive at a primary school and open the boot, and they'd just be loading the stuff in, or I'd be loading it in.
They're just giving it away.
Yeah, that's it. And I think they might have thought, well, let's try and give this kid a head start in his tech career, and we won't charge him anything for this favor of clearing out our storerooms. But
what generation of computers would you be getting at those early days? What would you find yourself getting?
That was I ended up with a lot of ImageWriter 2s at that stage. So I had those stacked up. Compact Macs, so a lot of classics.
Wow.
I really, I came across a couple of Macintosh 2s, which I had always understood. These are the big ones. These are the ones that you'd spend tens of thousands of dollars on to get on your desk. So when I was starting to collect up a couple of those, that was pretty exciting. But it gave me the opportunity to not just collect and see what was out there, but actually start my interest in repairing and restoring things. So learning how to clear off the stickers from the plastics. At that point, it was more just swapping components from one to the other.
Right.
But we were, it was late 80s, early 90s stuff. Some Apple IIs in there as well. 2Es.
Nice. And so you said there were 2 periods. So that was the first period.
That was right? The first. Yeah.
Then what happened?
That was the first. And then just as time went on, that stuff sort of got cleared out in various ways. I know I sold a whole heap of stuff to fund a first gen iPod when they came out, which was great. And by this stage, I'd taken a job at a local Apple reseller, which I'd been really, really lucky to get offered a job after some work experience, and I was working there every Saturday and Sunday. So my focus started to drift on to the new stuff, like at the time. So I've suddenly got some funds which I can afford to buy a few of these bits and pieces. So the stuff I'd collected sort of dribbled out in bits and pieces, and I had left with a Power Mac G4, which was pretty good at the time, and a studio display to match it. A lot of the beige stuff had gone by that stage. So
oh wow, so everything, all those things that you picked up, all these classic Macs, they were all came and went, and
they came and went. Yeah. So late, close now to probably 2010. I thought, hey, it'd be good to pick up a few machines again, and I ended up with a whole heap of coloured iMacs in the sort of the late noughties, 2010, and they came and went pretty quickly. So I call that sort of stage 2 of my collecting journey. But then we moved house, and my family was growing, so we had to get rid of that, make room for other things. But 2017 is when I said I had the itch to go and start buying some things that I always wanted. Before, it had just sort of been taking in whatever I could get my hands on. So 2017, I thought, hey, I'd actually really like to try and target a couple of machines that I'd flicked through the product catalog when I was 8 and 9 and really wanted. So picked up.
So what were those first ones?
The early ones, I think, was a LC 575. So which was great, except it came with no keyboard, so I couldn't actually boot it up. But that really kicked off the most recent phase of collecting.
Okay, and then so at some point, well, so let's talk numbers. Do you have a good count on how many you've got?
There's probably about 200 machines, I would say. So there's close to 100 which are on display here in the museum in the main showroom. Then there's probably about another 100 which are hidden behind the scenes. So that's sort of 7 years worth of collecting there.
That's a pretty good tear.
So when you started your second phase of collecting, at what point did you say, all right, this is enough for a museum?
It actually went around the other way, and so I had a little experience where I was wanting to see all this other stuff that I didn't have, and by then I probably had about a dozen machines, but there was stuff that I really wanted to check out, and an Apple III, for example, had never seen one. Even some of the Apple II stuff, and which I kind of skipped that era by starting in 1990, and even just some like I'm going to say quirky, but this one little item which is probably insignificant to a lot of people, but an Apple adjustable keyboard. They were always in the marketing shots. So 93, 94, you'd see them. Never seen one. And so I thought, man, I'd love to be able to try and visit somewhere to see some of this stuff. And had a few unsuccessful attempts. I suppose people didn't want some random guy in their house just who was there to just observe all their Apple stuff. So I thought, I'm surely I'm not the only one in Melbourne, in Australia here, that would like to be able to go somewhere and play around with this stuff, be hands-on, check it out. And from there I thought it'd be cool to open a museum. I don't know if cool's the right word. That's the word I used at the time, but people would debate that. But I thought it'd be cool to open a museum.
It's cool among us. I don't know if in the general population people think that's cool. But
I've got the endorsement from my kids, so that's they're in their teens, so that's important.
Nice.
Speaking
Recognition.
of your kids, we got somebody in the chat that's I think claiming that you're their dad. It better not be me or John. Otherwise, we got some explaining to do.
It would be a big surprise to our wives. Yes.
I would say I've probably got a few family members watching along. Shout out to Hudson, Crawford, and Tabitha. But it was that sort of moment of saying I'll open a museum. So I'd probably better accelerate this collection, and that really sort of launched from there.
Wow. So how long ago did you say, "Hey, I'm going to do a museum"? How long ago are we talking?
5 years ago. So that was
5 years. Okay.
Yeah, that was.
So it's been a long process because you wanted to build up what you had, obviously, and then there's all trying to figure out, okay, where's this thing going to be, right?
Right, and the layout and all the.
And it opened when? Just recently, right?
Well, very recently. I've had people through the door in the last couple of weeks. The first sort of open to the public day will be this coming Sunday. Where people can come down. So it's been a long journey. Part of it, not intentionally. I'd actually the place I'm sitting in now, the actual museum location was recently built. It was meant to be finished construction late 2021. So I boldly put on my Facebook page opening 2022, and then that came and went. So
that was the big delay. Was just this place, and this was the perfect place, I guess, that you were willing to wait.
Yeah, that's it. So it was 2023 went, 2024 came around, and it was looking like, hey, this place actually might be finished, and I might actually have somewhere to put all this stuff. So meanwhile, this stuff is just accumulating in my house, our house. So that was, yeah.
So do you have an adjustable keyboard there somewhere?
I do. Yes. I am delighted. I actually very generously got donated one from a chap in Queensland, John. He was happy to send me one in the box, which he'd bought brand new.
Nice.
Back in the early 90s. So it's sitting on a Color Classic on display at the moment.
So I was going to ask you, because for some reason that is the computer that you always see them connected to is the Color Classic. Fantastic.
Yeah, they must have come out around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That's it.
And so you said there's about a half of the computers you have are on display, and that's because just the spacing, it just makes more sense. Are you planning on rotating things through, or how's it going to work in terms of what you display at any particular time?
Yeah, that's been one of the big sort of things I've just been trying to fill out over the last couple of weeks is what do people want to see? And I've had a whole range of reactions from there's too much beige to people just hovering around the Apple II stuff and sitting and playing Carmen Sandiego, because it's interactive down here. The idea is that people come in and they can pull up a stool and sit down and play. So if someone we had a bit of a Tetris comp the other night, so that was a bit of fun, sort of spontaneously.
Nice.
But
do you ever plan to do any? Oh, sorry.
I will rotate things through.
All right, everybody stop. All right, Matthew, you finish your thought. You were talking about Tetris.
So the idea is that things will get rotated through once I get some feedback about what people want to see. I think we're at an interesting stage where there are enthusiasts that come in and say, wow, I remember all this stuff from high school, from primary school, but I'm finding probably the feel is that there's some of the younger crew that come in are just wanting to see more post jobs return era stuff. So the colorful stuff. So it's been fascinating.
So I love your row of your iMacs. It's so amazing. And after RetroRes's tour, has anyone offered up a blue Dalmatian for you?
I've got a number of people who have pointed out blue Dalmatians which have popped up around the place. I've got a couple of offers to be caretaker for their blue Dalmatians. So it seems, although I've been, I understand Sage is the hardest of them to get. Blue Dalmatian seems to be the one that is just out of reach at the moment. So, but
how far does the collection extend in timeline wise? Like what how old does it have to be before you think it needs to be in a museum?
Yeah, look, that's a really excellent question. So there's stuff which goes right through probably the newest the newest sort of interesting machine I've got is a trash can Mac Pro, which someone donated. And that's just over 10 years old now. Well, depending on when you sort of draw the line of start or end of the trash can era. But it's that's something which I've thought would be great to get on display, but now it still might be. It's interesting, but might be still a bit too new. So I've actually drawn a line at the moment on Intel. So from the transition from PowerPC to Intel, that's where the line is. So up to G5 is on display.
Got it. And nice. what about non-computer Apple stuff?
There's as in
like an iPod, for example, that original iPod.
Yeah.
You sold everything to buy. Is that on display?
I wish I still had that one, but I've there's Newtons on display. So I reckon they're really unloved and just another one of those things which I sort of spectated on the early period there. I had an E-Mate 300 which I used in school because
nice.
I could open the lid and I'm working away, but while everyone's still waiting for Windows to make its startup chime. And
you brought it to school.
I took it into school. Yeah, that's it. So there's Newton stuff on display. I've got some great wall of software which is really cool to have as well. iPods will be on display, and there's a nice collection of iPhones as well, which will be on display. And again, iPhones are, where do they sort of sit in terms of being museum worthy at this stage? But I'd like to have those on display soon.
Hey, you did it earlier. I don't think we were recording. I think that was before we got online. But can you turn your camera again to show everybody at least a view from where you're sitting of the rest of the room to your right?
Yeah, so if I pan around here,
just get a little look.
So there's a few things. There's the Quadra 950 with a work group server 95, which is actually a 9150. But if I go around to, that's probably about as far as I can go there. But and then
and then I like the old the posters up on the wall.
The posters are great. Yeah.
Are those originals or are they reprints from images on? Because they look like a different size. I don't know.
Yeah, so some of them are original, but some of them are reprints. You can, if you have a look at this one in the back here with a little red tag down the bottom, just indicates reproduction. I certainly don't want to pass off anything as genuine if it's not.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's important. But so there's a number of reprints, and hopefully one day they'll be replaced with genuine ones as we go.
Awesome. Well, if I didn't already have a reason to go to Australia, and I do, I've never been. I don't believe John's been either, but we got another reason to go so we can visit one day. But thanks very much for sharing with us. macmuseum.com.au is the website, and if you're in the area, you can schedule a time. Right? I think there's a way they get a hold of you and figure out how to get a ticket. Right?
You can book a ticket online. we're open Sundays and Thursdays. Sundays 11 till 4, Thursdays 4:30 till 9, and book a ticket online. Come on down. As I mentioned, you're welcome to pull up a stool and lose yourself in a game of Tetris.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, and of course, you're going to stick around for the rest of the show.
I will. Thanks, guys.
So, curious, have you ever been to WazFest?
No, I haven't. There's hopefully coming up, maybe a bit later this year. The family, we're gonna all bundle up and head over to the US. So now that I've said
WazFest is in Australia.
Oh, right. That's sorry. Yeah, that's the one in
the Apple II one.
Canberra, no, sorry, I haven't been there.
What were you thinking of? K-Fest? You said you're thinking about coming to the US?
I was gonna say we're heading over to hopefully just venture out and check out a few of the things that sort of happen around the hub there of Apple, and just sort of indulge in the Silicon Valley.
Oh, I see. You're thinking about taking a trip out there. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
the Computer History Museum, of course.
So just so you know, WazFest is happening in April this year. I believe we know some people that go to WazFest.
Where do they hold that in Australia?
I am looking right now.
All right. Let's we're going to do a little news. Let's throw up a picture. Aha. And let's go in 3, 2, 1. Well, we missed it by a few days, but on January 24th, we celebrated the 41st birthday of the original Macintosh. There are a fair number of articles out there online. I mean, it wasn't as big as the 40th, but we can stop and pause for 41. The first Mac, I was old enough. I guess I could have. I was, 13 when it came out. I wouldn't see my first Mac until 85 or 86 when a friend had one. I had heard of them. I had never seen one. And I remember being at this friend's house in Massachusetts, and they said that they had one and you could go up and play with it. And so I went upstairs by myself, turned this thing on, and just mind blown. Although I had played with Elisa before that, so I kind of knew what I was getting to. Well, I'll say I didn't play with it. I had been exposed to Elisa at a computer show. I saw.
I was just going to ask what your normal computer situation was before
Apple
seeing
IIe.
this. Apple IIe. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And John, you didn't come in contact with an original Mac, right? It would be years later before you.
No.
Well, you had an Apple III, right?
Thing.
Yeah.
No. All right. I before I joined the Air Force, I did work on an Apple III for a real estate company in Wisconsin, just doing basic right out of high school. Joined the Air Force. I was actually home on leave, so it was like 85, 86. And I went back to visit an old teacher, and he excitedly took me over to show me the Macintosh there. And I still remember sitting down for the first time and holding that mouse and just being agog. And same thing, I still had my Apple IIe from high school that I was using then. So it was quite the eye opener.
Of course, Matthew, you said you were 5? You had one in your house, so that was normal.
That was that was the first thing. I skipped Apple II, so
Do you remember what you would play on the
Absolutely. Yeah. Cairo Shootout, Stunt Copter.
Okay.
Stunt Copter, yes.
Yeah. IDeasy. None of these. I'm not saying no. A lot of reaction. No.
I don't know that last one.
Shuffle Puck Cafe.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Shuffle Puck
Yep.
Cafe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's great games.
Well, I mean, you had if you're going to have an early Mac to be exposed to the SC30, you couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, that.
And do you have an original
machine.
128K there in the museum with you?
No, there's a 512. Yeah, there's the 512. That's as far back as I've got on the Macintosh range. So,
do you have a short list of ones you want to track down? I imagine that's got to be on the list.
Yeah, it's on the list. The problem with the list these days is that if you tally up the sort of the value of that list, you're at about $100,000. So when you
if you've got like an Apple One, for example, or an original Lisa,
of
course it can get pricey. But even original, I mean 128K Max, what are they trending on? I have to get.
But one, I mean, as if you've got a 512, I consider that absolutely fine. They're identical and they're slightly more useful than the 128K.
Sure.
Oh, so you did. One thing I wanted to go back to is you do mention that you do your own repairs. Do you to what level are you repairing these? Are you like surface mount stuff? Are you going board?
Yeah. You mentioned the ultrasonic cleaner. So I've got a large one to wash my boards in. I'll do replace the caps. I was doing trace repair the other day for a battery bombed 2CI. So James, I feel your pain with that that 605 that you had there earlier. But I try to do what I can to keep things going, preventative as well with the capacitors. So.
Did you
that's good. That's good.
Mark the Mac birthday in any way in the museum?
Oh no,
no?
Next year.
I did. Next year, yeah. That's okay. one of the things that I would like to be able to do now that I've got a place for people to hang out, to be able to mark some of those milestones with some gatherings and some different curations to.
Yes. Yeah. Might I suggest like a sheet cake with the Picasso Macintosh logo on it, or a cake in the shape of an original Mac, which must have been done. I mean, this day and age, everybody's trying to.
Oh, is it cake?
Cakes?
Sure.
Is it cake or not? Somebody could probably put together a Mac cake that looks indistinguishable from the actual. So
I won't bake it. I can promise you that, because I'm terrible in the kitchen, but I like that idea.
All right. Well, something for next year.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do the end here, and I think we already figured out what it's going to be, right, John?
Yeah, we'll just talk about what they did with that 60%
All right.
scale.
Let's record in 3, 2, 1. That wraps up another episode of the RetroMacCast. Next week, we will be back. John's got a report on his latest project, which do you have a name for this thing? You had a name for that. What was the name of that other?
Well, the other one was for the little tiny Mac was just the Mini Mac is what it was just calling
the Mini Mac?
The one that was about that big. Yeah.
So this is to be named a smaller, not quite so mini.
Actually, I named the hard drive Apple Slice. So.
Okay. This is all right. So we're gonna see that project next week, and I think that's it. I want to thank Matthew for joining us. I'm glad you could spend the time with us, and it was a joy to hear about your museum, and I hope to see it in person one day.
Thank you. It's been great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
And until next week, remember, it's not old,
It's retro.
Bam, that's a wrap.
That's it.
Good job, everybody.
All right. The one thing we didn't mention though is, are you going to do YouTube channel? Are you going to do like videos from your? You need a YouTube channel to go through.
I think I've got a handful of subscribers to my non-existent YouTube channel. Well, sorry, it exists. There's one video where I take delivery of literally a pallet of iMacs, which came across the country, a full set of tray loads, and along with a full set of original clamshell iBooks. So that's actually where my Macintosh TV came along as well. But that's the one lonely video there. But I would love to do something like that.
If we're looking for that on YouTube, what's the is it
macmuseum.au? So youtube.com/macmuseum. .au. Will find me. Find that one video. It goes for about 10 minutes or something, and so you want to put it in about 6 times when you're watching it to see what's going on. But yeah.
Well, I hope to see more content on there, because I think that would be wonderful to see like the crowd, and yeah.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I do endeavor to do it.
All right. I think we can sign off. Thanks for everybody in the chat for joining us.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. This has been a lot of fun.
Music.
Joshua.
Maybe sometime down the road we can do it again, and we can get an update on the museum.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
The music.
Thanks for listening to the RetroMacCast with James and John. Email listener comments and questions to retromaccast@gmail.com or post comments on our website at www.retromaccast.com.